Hello and welcome to another crowned replay. This is a wonderful replay that you may or may not have seen. It is from BlizzCon 2010, and indeed it's going to be between Infi and Moon, and of course, as you can probably tell, there's no observers in this game. This wasn't from which is a little bit odd to me. But hey, whatever, it's not the point. The point is that we're getting into this game, and just a reminder, this is version 1.24e, at least that's what I'm watching it on. There's like 4 or 5 different 1.24e versions. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get into this game. We're going to have Infi spawning in as the teal human on the upper left side of the map. The map is Terranistan. And let's see, he's going to go with a Mountain King as his first hero. And he's going to be playing against Moon. Indeed, when Moon was still on We Made Fox, who's going to be going Warden first. Of course, he's going to be spawning in as the Red Night Elf down there at the lower right. And of course, you can hear that spamming. Sorry, again, like I said, no observer slots. Over here, we're going to go ahead and see that Moon going to go ahead and build that Ancient of War right here, very close to this gold mine. And of course, if you're playing Warden first, especially back here in the 2010 era, then you were very, very likely to go ahead and do an AOW creep, if not a dual AOW creep. And this is going to be Infi just going ahead and throwing down a scout farm in the elf player's base. And if I remember correctly, this is actually around the time 2009, 2010, when we actually started seeing humans building scout farms inside of night elf players' bases pretty regularly. Prior to that, I don't really recall seeing too many human players actually doing that. So this was pretty early on in that era, like I said, if I remember correctly. It was a while ago. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and see that there's, of course, a Scout Footman. Of course, you have seen that as well. And, of course, we're just going to see that Wisp. He's not going to chase the Wisp. He is doing Mountain King first, and he does need the DPS from that Footman, because he is going to come over here and creep out this Mercenary camp, it looks like. And that's going to be something that you want to have all your DPS for, because it does have 2 very annoying, well, 4 slows, actually. 4 slows. Very, very powerful, as well as that Bash and that Command Aura, which of course increases everyone's damage by a little bit. You go ahead and see that Forest Troll Shadow Piece will be picked up, and of course we're going to see that Mountain King tanking right here, and taking a bash as well from that Kobold Taskmaster. Of course, he's quite a powerful little guy with that heavy armor, very difficult to kill with 3 armor, 650 life, but he will go down, even though pretty much everybody is slowed right here. Over here we can go ahead and see that this has been crept out. Pretty easy to creep out. I probably should have showed you a little bit of that, but just to see how powerful that creep is, you can see that that Warden already halfway through level 2. And of course, just so you know, there have been some changes to the Warden since then. If I remember, the only change, actually, I think there's only been one since this patch, and in this case, in this version, then Shadow Strike costs 65 mana rather than the current 75, so not a huge difference. And let's see, yes, Tree of Life going up for a Moon, as well as a Moonwell over here. We will have that Mountain King, as well as these 3 Footmen, and that Shadow Priest Armada just coming in here, going ahead and trying to do some damage to this Tree of Life. Looks like they should be able to cancel it. Here comes that Warden. Not going to see a double AOW creep actually in this game. Just going to go ahead and see this is just that 1 AOW creep. And here we can see that Warden getting surrounded, but he does have a Cloak of Shadows. Doesn't really need it because, of course, he goes ahead and just has Shadow Meld anyway because he's the Warden. But will be used pretty nicely anyway. And we can see a lot of damage being done to this Warden right off the bat at this game. This Moonwell will finish here very shortly, and we will go ahead and probably see that Warden healing up at it. Of course, this Forest Troll Shadow Priest trying to stay alive versus the Shadow Strike. Should be able to versus the 1, but looks like that Warden going to come in here for a second one. Maybe even just go ahead and right-click to finish him off. Over here, I want to look at the base. But before we get there, we'll just see, look, it looks like he should be able to get that. Indeed he will. And just watch that XP bar. Over here, bunch of militia coming in to this base for Moon, just going for these Moonwells, and we're going to see the Warden TPing in right now. Of course, he's going to go ahead and immediately use one of those Moonwells before he takes a Stormbolt. Going to pop the second one as well. Here comes some towers, and there is already a lumber mill up currently for Infi. So indeed, we're seeing a tower push coming in right now from Infi, and indeed, he may very well be able to end the game just with a tower push. As you can see, it looks pretty good. Of course, now we can go ahead and see that immediately Moon does respawn by throwing down 2 Ancient Protectors. And those 2 Ancient Protectors with the Hunter's Hall should maybe be enough to go ahead and try to defend this. Of course, if we see a defend getting researched, then maybe these Footmen will be a lot more tanky, and maybe that'll keep them alive. But of course, we can go ahead and see them trying to go ahead and take down this Ancient Protector as soon as possible. We're going to go ahead and see this Mountain King versus Warden Focus Fire Fest. Looks pretty good for the Mountain King, I would say. As you can see, he does have Boots of Speed, does have Dust of Appearance, which means the Warden can't get too risky over here. We're going to see a second Ancient of Doubt War being thrown down, as well. It looks like some Huntresses being popped out. Huntresses do going to work pretty well versus the towers. And of course, we do see that Warden going to heal right back up. And now there is that Forest Troll Shadow Priest once. It looks like that's a brand new one. It's got full mana, full life over here. We're going to go ahead and see that another Storm Bolt will be cast on the Warden as the Warden picks up level 3. And indeed, that does mean level 2 Shadow Strike. And as you can see, very, very powerful. Of course, we're going to see a Dust on the Warden. Going to see level 1 Blink has been picked up for the Warden as well. I probably was saving that skill point, the Blink, as well as the, because you can always use that skill point sometimes for a Fan of Knives, should you not end up needing the Blink. So you probably did wait to use that. And of course, we're going to see a shot going up for the human player right here inside this base, as well as another 2 towers. And indeed, there comes another level 2 Shadow Strike on that Mountain King. And as you can see, it's going to do a lot of damage. And of course, we're just going to see that Forest Troll Shadow Priest trying to heal him up. Should be able to keep him alive, but it's very, very close. He cannot tank another one of these. And of course, there is enough mana on that Warden for 2 more, working on 3 more. Of course, we're going to see one of those footmen will go down. An Ancient Protector has gone up, a second one going up right beside that gold mine. So it looks like we're going to see some tower versus tower warfare over here. We do have a Glaive Thrower being built right now by Moon, and over here we will see that Mountain King will go ahead and pop a Clarity Potion. Very interesting to go ahead and just pop a Clarity and not pop a Scroll of Regeneration right off the bat. But there it is. I guess he was waiting on gold and decided that to stun the mana was more important. Over here we're going to see that first Ancient Protector has gone up. Will we see immediately having that Mountain King get canceled? No, it looks like he's just going to stand in tower range, not have that Clarity or Scroll of Regeneration canceled by neither that Huntress or this Ancient Protector. A little bit unfortunate for Moon, but of course we're just going to go ahead and see that now the Mountain King will take a little bit of focus fire, not too much right there, and indeed he's going to come in here, go use a Stormbolt on that Wisp. We'll take the Wisp out, and of course it looks like this is just all-out tower warfare at this point. Of course, we can see 2 Ancient Protectors and both players just trying to micro the units around. A Glaive Thrower now out. There's a Shop Ancient of Wonders down there. A little bit. You can see that Warden at level 3. Let's go ahead and take a look at this human player's base. Nothing really much going on for Infi back there. Still tier 1. Of course, we can see Moon also at tier 1 with a Tree of Life right now. And of course, we're going to go ahead and see a Moonwell being built. Down here, there is a Warden. You're going to see the Stormbolt cast onto the Warden. And of course, the Mountain King going to run up a little bit, try to run away. Lots of action still going on. As you can see, 5 peasants right here repairing this guard tower, trying to keep it alive. It does have level 1 masonry upgrade. And of course, these towers are being repaired each by 2 wisps. And we're going to see that one tower finally going down. Can't take the fact that it's being hit on 2 Ancient Protectors as well as a Glaive Thrower. And we can hear 2 of those peasants have died. And it looks like right now those 3 peasants are on retreat. It looks like they're going to give up this location. Let Moon take it. You know, he's saying, okay, well, congratulations, Moon. You have defended versus. Over here we can see that Ogre Mauler has been bought. Went ahead by Infi. Of course, Infi now trying to chase away Moon's Wisp that was actually sitting back here by this mercenary camp. And we're going to see the Mountain King moving up here, trying to move into position. It looks like we're going to see a Militia creep, perhaps, maybe an expansion very early on. Well, it's not very early, but it is still tier 1 for the human player. Yes, indeed, it looks like an expansion attempt coming in here at this gold mine for Infi. And of course, this means we just saw, in case you are a little bit confused here, we just saw a tower rush getting defended by a tower defense, as well as glaives, to actually go ahead and cancel an expansion attempt into his own expansion attempt. So it's very interesting. This game has proved to be very dynamic here. We'll see, however, the Warden level 3 running over here, and he could be able to do a lot of damage. Will he go for the peasants, the militia, or the Mountain King is going to be a question. Of course, we do see Scourge Bone Chimes has been picked up for the Mountain King, which is a very powerful item, of course. And of course, we're going to see that Warden has actually gone ahead and picked up a Potion of Invisibility over here at this Goblin Merchant. Going to pick up the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability as well, now that he's pretty much okay. And we can look, he's only got 280 life right now, but he does have that 7 seconds of invulnerability. And so the question is, will he go straight for that Mountain King? I don't think that would be a wisest decision, of course, because there's that Forest Troll Shadow Priest sitting right there, healing up the Mountain King. And going for these guys down here is not going to really give him a huge amount of benefit. So I guess I'm not really sure what he's going to do there, but it'll be interesting to see. And down here, of course, you can see a Tree of Life going up for Moon as well. Has Moon begun his tech? No, it can't afford to. He does have 2 Huntresses, a Forest Troll Shadow Priest, as well as a Forest Troll Berserker, and a Glaive himself. And over here, we're going to see that Warden will pop out onto this Forest Troll Shadow Priest, and going to go ahead and kill that. Looks like, I think, 2 hits plus that level 2 Shadow Strike enough to finish him off. He unfortunately did not get any heals off. He did go for that one heal. Not going to happen, though. And, of course, you can see that Warden picking up a ton of XP, up to 791 out of 900 XP. Over here, we will see that this mercenary camp still just being occupied by that farm from Infi, and that's all that's there right now. And, of course, we're going to go ahead and see a Stormbolt try to get the blink dodge off. However, as we saw, the blink animation played, but not quite quick enough because the Warden still got stunned. And, indeed, that's going to happen sometimes, occasionally, even when, you know, you're Moon. And of course, this is back when Moon was really, really good. He's still good, but he was really good back here. And here we're going to go ahead and see that that will be a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability dodge on the Stormbolt. Now he's running away, trying to dodge this whole situation. I'm not quite sure what he just killed right there, but he did level up to level 4. Did he? I'm not, yeah, I don't have any clue what he killed. I guess, he's down here. He crept out this Goblin Laboratory. Okay, indeed he has. And of course, we will see that both players have picked up a Zeppelin at this point. That is 2 Zeppelins on the map, and it looks like maybe both player has a Shredder as well. Yes, indeed, both players with a Shredder. Down here with this level 4 Warden. What's he going to do? Who knows? Mountain King working on getting level 4 himself. And of course, both players supplementing their army quite heavily with mercenaries. So, of course, all of these buildings for Infi have been cleared out now at this point. We go ahead and see a reveal coming in from Infi onto Moon's base, just saying what's going on down here. Over here, we will see that Moon is going to pick up a Staff of Teleportation from the Goblin Merchant Camp, and that means he has boots and a staff, and of course, with that, he can do a lot. He can do a lot of different types of harass, can run in here. The only issue that he has to be somewhat concerned about is going to be the stuns to stop that teleportation. And over here, we're going to see it looks like Moon is just going to use a Zeppelin drop into this base to do some damage, and of course going to force all of these guys to go into Militia to try to defend against that while we wait on this guard tower to actually go up and finish right now. And it looks like Infi's also just going to have to run back here and hide or try to protect his base as best as he can. And in the meantime, we can see over here there is already 1 guard tower up. He does have a 2nd guard tower up on the way, as well as a shop at this point. Actually going to go ahead and see that it looks like Moon going to be able to take out Infi's Zeppelin, just dropping that Force Troll Berserker down there. And now he's going to go for this guard tower. Indeed, it looks like going to go ahead and try to take it out. Going to have a hunt storm bolted. Will the hunt go down? Yes, indeed, the hunt will go down. We're going to see the scout tower also being canceled as well. Indeed, we're going to see that Force Troll Shadow Priest go down, giving level 4 to the Mountain King. Very nice. And of course, we're going to see this Force Troll Berserker has come in now for Infi, trying to force this Goblin Zeppelin to get out of here, while he can go ahead and put up some towers so he doesn't have to sit here with his whole army and try to defend. Over here, we will see there is a Wisp scouting around for Moon. It looks like he's going to throw down a Tree of Life, doesn't he? Wants to go ahead and throw down a 2nd expansion. Going to see a 2nd Force Troll Berserker being picked up now at this point by Moon, and it looks like he's going for one more drop at this point. Infi's actually trying to creep out the Goblin Merchant. A little bit of a mistake, perhaps, because as you can see, or at least not necessarily a mistake, but a little bit of a decision that Moon will go ahead and punish. Going to cancel that guard tower and indeed take down the scout tower. We're going to go ahead and see, of course, one of the great things about the Mountain King in this situation is that he does have these stuns, and with these stuns, you cannot actually pick a unit up that's actually stunned, and so that's why we're seeing him very aggressive. The Windows key there, hopefully that was just a minor stutter, but indeed, of course, with those stuns, he can actually prevent the Zeppelin from picking units back up. That's very powerful indeed. And over here we're going to see it looks like Infi has gone ahead and bought another Zeppelin. It looks like maybe he's scouting around to see if he can't find Moon Zeppelin. Moon Zeppelin has, however, moved back behind his base once again. Going to drop it and go ahead and try to keep these towers from being built. Indeed, we're going to see one of those scout towers will go down. Another guard tower, however, is starting to go immediately. You can see that Stormbolt now on the Warden, trying to do some additional damage to the Warden and maybe scare him off. Not going to really happen. We're going to see it looks like, I think, a peasant has died right there to a Shadow Strike, and indeed we can see over here at the expansion the blacksmith has gone up. There's a tower, and of course there are a farm as well as 2 guard towers, a 3rd guard tower about to be finished. And indeed, go ahead and see Moon dropping down on this scout farm and at this mercenary camp. Of course, Infi was using that to pick up mercenaries here and there. Of course, without that, you'll have to actually walk down here or build a 2nd farm down here as well. And indeed, that also gave him a decent amount of vision to see what Moon was doing whenever Moon would pick up those mercenaries. And of course, this time we're just going to go ahead and see that this isn't going to happen. Farm will go down. Infi is waiting for him right here, saying, okay, come on, why don't you try to drop on me again? Now, Infi finally getting a guard tower up. Gonna go ahead and try to build 3 more in his main base. You know, I believe Stonebreak Kid calls it Infi mode. I can't actually do that voice, but he's anyway, you know, Infi's very famous for making a lot of towers. Anyway, we will go ahead and see though. It looks like if I'm not mistaken, a Panda, yes indeed, a Panda has been picked up for Moon, and we're gonna go ahead and see him pulling out this this creep camp down here. Maybe just trying to creep it out. Yes indeed, just gonna creep it out, bringing down those Huntresses, the Troll Berserkers, as well as that Glaive Thrower. Up here, we'll see the Warden at level 4, just coming here trying to provide some solo harass. There isn't a dust currently on the Blacksmith or on the Mountain King. Of course, we're gonna see a very nice blink dodge on that Stormbolt, and indeed we actually have a flying machine out on the map at this point. Now that's going to serve two purposes. One, it's going to be able to instantly end any kind of harass that we were seeing prior with that glaive, with the Zeppelin running around. Of course, we can actually look at the tech as well. Infi almost up to Castle Tech right now. Moon also almost up to Tree of Eternity. Both players teching very hard, and of course we can see Moon with this one expansion. Second expansion is up. He's working on getting it over there. You're going to see that Warden running in here, going for a Footman with a Shadow Strike. The Shadow Strike should be able to kill the Footman, and now you can see that Warden just trying to run away. He does have 2 Staff of Teleportations at this point. You can go ahead and provide one of those to his Panda should he decide to. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go ahead and pass that. Otherwise, I don't quite know why he would buy it. It's not really a huge deal to deny it to the Mountain King. I'm not sure the Mountain King even would want it. So at this point, I would definitely think he's going to go ahead and pass it to his Panda in a little bit. Of course, just seeing him try to get that Panda up to level 3. Going to run over here, maybe pick up an Orb of Venom. Maybe. Yes, indeed, he did go ahead and pass that Staff over to the Panda. And let's see, is he going to pick up an Orb? There's the Orb of Venom. There's a Staff of Preservation. And up here, we can see, of course, the Mountain King continuing to creep as well. There is a Sentry Ward for Infi placed down right here. Of course, that allows him to have some nice invisible reveal. Perfect amount of invisible reveal, in fact. That way, just in case just in case Moon tries to bring in an invisible hero right there, he'll be able to see it, and that's really kind of the importance really of that ward. And over here, of course, we're going to see that Moon moving this expansion, the 3rd gold mine, into place right here. Over here, we're going to see Infi doing the same, and indeed, we're just going to go ahead and see this Mountain King creeping this out. Pretty simple stuff here. As you can see, he's just level 4. Let's look at those items. We will see that he has got, of course, Sentry Wards, 1 charge left, Scroll of Healing, Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, Gloves of Haste, and Boots of Speed. We will see that he does have this 1 expansion up and running. It's doing pretty good. Over here we can see that the Huntress is, as well as the Warden, coming up here, and that Panda at level 2 now. Just going to go ahead and tried to stop this expansion attempt, and it looks like they're going to be able to do that pretty easily. As you can see, chasing that Mountain King down, trying to go ahead and get a nice Shadow Strike on him. Might still be able to do so. There's 267 mana on that Warden, so 1 more blink and then a Shadow Strike. It could easily catch that Mountain King. The question is, will that Mountain King make it to safety? Looks like he will, and indeed, the Warden isn't even going to go for the Mountain King, going to go for the Force Troll Berserker instead, and as you can see, he's just going to blink away, utilizing the Shadow Strike, utilizing the Orb of Venom on this Force Troll Berserker. It's going to, however, get staffed out pretty easily, and I just realized Fog of War was turned back on. Don't worry about that. I did actually have to restart the replay. Not a big deal. But anyway, so that's fine, taken care of. So we do see we made Fox Moon. He's just sitting here with that Warden saying, do I go for this? And he could. Of course, while that thing is in that staff range, the Staff of Sanctuary item or effect on it, it's actually immune to magic, and we're just going to see a really nice another blink dodge on that bolt. Over here, we do see there are all these flying machines down here. They do have those 2 attack upgrades, and they do have the ability to attack ground units at this time, so they can actually try to take out these lures if they want to. They can try to work on that. Not going to really work. We do hear a couple of mortars spawning somewhere in the map right there. I mean, you can see that we're going for the harass. Will he actually be able to kill that Force Troll Berserker? It doesn't look like it. He might go down still nonetheless. I'll have to wait and see. No, he's going to be just fine. And indeed, over here we will see that Warden might go for a little bit of damage on the flying machines. Not going to happen. Over here we will see down here, Moon, if I can talk. Moon has an expansion. He does have these 2 Ancient of War standing there just in case there's any tanks running down there. Of course, you want to have those there just for your tanks, really. That's all. The only real thing. We will see there is a slow on the Griffin Rider. It looks like this creep's just getting a little annoying there. I'm just going to go ahead and see one of those Force Troll Berserkers. It looks like have been staffed out, or did we see the Warden staffing in? One of the 2, I'm not sure. Of course, one of those did go down. We will see this fight going pretty much underway. Those flying machines probably going to go ahead and try to kill a Force Troll Berserker first, get it out of the way. They do extra damage to the Huntresses, so I'm not going to be surprised if they do go for that, but it looks like they're just going to end up dying to AoE pretty quickly right there. And indeed, we just see this fight going crazy. Of course, the Paladin has been staffed out at this point. We're going to see that Warden taking a Stormbolt. Of course, he does have that Lightning Shield, just taking as much damage as he can, or doing as much damage as he can before blinking out. Of course, he's very low right now, very susceptible to dying. He's going to get bashed, and down he goes. ouch. That bash actually going to go ahead and cost him his life. I don't think he was planning on dying right there. Of course, he did have that scroll of healing, so he could, in theory, have actually lived through that if he had just used that a little bit sooner. But unfortunately, he was trying to just play the, be a little bit careful there, and he did go down. Of course, you see the Huntress. I'm not sure. I think it might have been denied. The Huntresses might have killed it as well. Hard to tell. You know, we're going to see a nice Siphon mana giving the Mountain King some mana. Going for this Paladin, or the Panda, and right now the Panda very, very low. Going to kill the Panda as well. Panda did actually go ahead and level up, I think. Or was that the Mountain King? No, that was the Mountain King level 6. That actually makes more sense. But the Panda did have a teleport scroll. So a little bit interesting that he did that. Looking incredibly good for Infi at this point. This could be good game, but perhaps, potentially. As you can see, this fight going pretty well. I mean, we're going to maybe see... the Warden has been taverned back. We do see that Paladin not taking a bit of damage. Of course, there's still this Zeppelin in the air, trying to run away from these Hippogriffs. Not going to be too much of a concern. We're going to see the Paladin getting staffed out once again. Of course, that Warden trying to do some damage. He is level 5. Does have a lot of ability to do a lot of damage right there. He doesn't have a lot of mana, though. We're going to see a nice Siphon mana, preventing him from having any more mana as well. He will go ahead and take out that Force Troll Berserker, however, and indeed looking, I mean, pretty good for Infi still. I mean, of course, Moon has defended his base, but he has moved out these 2 Ancient Protectors as well, just trying to do a lot of damage here. Of course, we do still see 3 Mortar teams on the on the field, going to take out that other Ancient Protector. Indeed, we do see a shop being built as well for Infi right outside of Moon's base, and it looks like Moon is backing off. Is he going over here just to get these Moon Wells? Looks like he's got some Ancient Protectors that he's going to reposition as well, making a Ancient of Wind right there, and going for the Altar of Elders now. Before that Panda is going to be able to revive that should die from those Mortar teams. Going to see that Warden running back in, trying to do some damage to the Mountain King as well, and really just getting dropped almost all the way down to dead, taking about 500 damage right there just for running in during that one stun. And of course, this bear also going to be in a bit of trouble. He's going to get staffed, but he's only getting staffed over here. That might be good for him. However, if he goes ahead and starts going for these Mortar teams, will he be able to kill him or save that Tree of Eternity? That's the question. Up here at the top, we will see it looks like Infi going to go for another expansion. There are those 2 Sentinels right there, so Moon will be able to see that that's coming. We're going up right over there, but unfortunately there's not a lot he can do right now. As you can see, he does actually go ahead and kill one of those peasants, which is good. Or was it the Mortar? It might have been the Mortar team right there. Yes, it was a Mortar team. Shadow striking the Mortar, trying to do some damage to these Mortars. Here we do see these Ancient Protectors now starting to take hold, starting to take a positioning that's not bad right here, and just going ahead and trying to be very aggressive and force Infi out of here. And really, really well done with the control of the Warden, of course, as well as the other units, just trying to keep things alive. Will he be able to keep this bear alive, for example? He might be able to. It looks like he's going to be able to. Indeed, he will. And of course, this Ancient Protector, these 2 Ancient Protectors doing a lot of damage. We do see 2 of these Mortar teams are still alive. The Warden's probably going to try to take those out, but he does have to be careful about running away too close into that with the range. Of course, he's going to get a Reju first, then go for them. Going to take one out with a Shadow Strike, 1 attack. He's managed to keep his Tree of Eternity alive this long, and now there's not as much of an army for Infi to actually go ahead and prevent him from using this Warden very effectively, especially when there is that Rejuvenation now as well. And so you're going to see another Rejuvenation going on to the Warden right now, and of course, that's really good. He's going to lose a bear right there in that engagement, but he's done pretty good so far. These 2 towers have gone up for Infi as well as that shop, but there's only 1 Mortar team left, and he should be able to take that Mortar team out with 1 single Shadow Strike right there. As you can see, it looks like he's going to go for the Blood Mage instead. A bit of an interesting choice. I guess he's not that concerned with that Mortar team since there's only 1. Running in these 2 Ancient of Wars as well as a level 3 Panda, he's actually going to be able to do a lot of damage. I think he's going to be able to hold this actually, and indeed we're going to see that Blood Mage very, very low. It's going to get picked up in the Zeppelin at very low HP at level 3, and we will see that Warden now just going to get stunned as Infi retreats. So really, really well done by Moon. He looks like he's actually managed to hold against that. Absolutely insane. Of course, he did have those 2 gold mines running during that, but still absolutely ridiculous. Well, all 3, I guess this one's technically hadn't been mined out yet. There's still 850 gold left in it, and we're just going to see him holding that. Pretty nicely done. Of course, up here we will see Infi has managed to take that time to go ahead and throw down and try to secure this top right expo himself. We do see 2 bears have been moved up here by Moon, of course, with these Centennials. He's given range. Of course, if you didn't know, I mean, the Centennials aren't normally seen in pro games, so the way to get rid of those is to attack the tree with something that can attack the tree. So a peasant or, you know, a ghoul or something. You have to actually attack the tree and it kills the Centennial. It's kind of, you know, I don't know, but that's how you get rid of it. Of course, we're going to see Moon trying to stop this expansion for Infi, and he could be able to do that. As you can see, I mean, he's got a pretty good army right now. Infi can't really run in here and defend that with his heroes. As you can see, he's trying to go ahead and run away right now. He's going to have these 2 knights. They're probably going to go down, but you will actually be able to keep 2 of those towers up by running in there, using those units and sacrificing those knights. Will that be enough, though? Will 2 towers be enough to actually defend against this? Maybe with these heroes in the back. We're going to have to wait and see. Of course, that is a level 6 Mountain King. It doesn't have enough mana for Avatar yet. Maybe we'll see a Stormbolt cast onto one of these bears to kill it. Nope, just going to let that bear go down to the tower. You don't get experience for that, but the bear is doing a lot of damage, so sometimes it's better just to go ahead and kill it. We will see a slow has been cast on the Mountain King, as well as a Shadow Strike, so getting him very low, very slow, and now just chasing him all out. And of course, we do see that Avatar of Vengeance has been summoned. I don't think the Mountain King might have been in that Zeppelin that just went down. It looks like that's what just happened. Of course, the Mountain King was in a bit of trouble, but I couldn't quite see right there. That's a little unfortunate. But anyway, what we were going to see, it looks like, yes, Moon was not only going to be able to completely deny this expansion, he was able to kill the Mountain King as well. And that's a great move. And of course, if you don't know how the Avatar of Vengeance works, what it does is it summons these little invulnerable guys from corpses on the ground. And these guys last quite some time, as you see. I mean, they can run pretty far across the map. They do a lot of damage, and they're invincible. They cannot be attacked. That's invulnerable. It's quite nice. And of course, we're going to see that the Warden, level 6 now, just saying, you know what, since I am level 6, I'm very high level, you don't have a Mountain King, I'm just going to, you know, do a lot of harassing, so there's not really much you can do. You can't stun me, you can't stop me, and you don't even have a Zeppelin anymore because I killed it. And I'm pretty sure Mountain King was in there when I killed it. So, being very aggressive with that Warden at this point, and of course, it's going to work out really well for him. Of course, Moon also does have this expansion down here. Now, the question is, those 2 Ancient of Warriors that were once down there protecting it from tanks, they're not down there anymore, so we might actually see Infi decide and go for some tanks. I don't know. It would be an interesting tech switch at this point, but we'll have to wait and see if that's what's going to happen. Now, the other thing about the Avatar of Vengeance is these little Spirits of Vengeance, they actually die if you can manage to kill the Avatar of Vengeance, but as you can see, he lasts for a very long time, so it's very difficult to kill him. He does have a lot of life, 1200 life, and 2 armor with heavy armor type, so or you can just see trying to kill the mortar teams with that those Spirits of Vengeance looks like they should be able to not do the job, but the Warden can definitely blink in and Shadow Strike to kill it down. No problem. And that Warden, of course, he's going to actually steal the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability from the shop up here, the Goblin Merchant. And indeed, we can go ahead and see, what is this? More mortar teams? Indeed, more mortar teams from Infi. The Mountain King now has revived over here from this altar, and of course we will see that Shredder now getting moved into maybe an aggressive position. Will he actually come over here and try to defend this, or maybe he's just looking to see, did Moon try to rebuild it? It looks like he's going to go ahead and try to pick it up again, throwing down 4 ivory towers right there. And over here we'll see more Spirits of Vengeance. Of course, these coming in just from these little creep camps. I think it was this one right here. I'm not sure which one it was scrapped, or maybe even both. As you can see, 6 of those guys coming up here, just going to be annoying. Maybe we try to kill a farm or something. We'll see if they can actually do anything. Not probably, because they don't, going for buildings isn't the greatest with them, and those are actually idle, so that's a bit of an unfortunate situation. But as you can see, that Avatar of Vengeance still has some time left on him, and indeed, up here we can see that those Centennials will die. Of course, if you want to attack the trees with a mortar team, you can just, you know, flat out destroy the trees. That also gets rid of Centennials. And in fact, I think he was actually doing that because there was a wisp there and attacking the wisp. But anyway, there's actually another Centennial right here. He could easily kill that with his mortar team if he wants to. Very, very easily. He's got 2 mortar teams, or just that peasant. There you go, just did it with the mortar teams. That works too. And of course, now we're just going to see 4 of those guard towers. They have finished at this point. And so here we can see Infi going for this expansion once again. So this game, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Of course, Moon is like, I saw that. And now he's coming up here with his army. Of course, he does have a Zeppelin full of units. As you can see, 2 bears in bear form in the Zeppelin, 3 bears in bear form on the ground, 5 Dryads in the Zeppelin as well. That Avatar going to be used by the Mountain King, and of course that's going to make that Mountain King very tanky. As you can see, 1600 life, immune to magic, and I think plus a bit of damage. I'm not quite sure. I think it might even be plus 20 damage entirely. Indeed, we're going to see a really nice combo of Banish and Bolt right there, killing one of those Hippogriffs right off the bat. And indeed, of course, this Mountain King, it is an Avatar, and you might be saying that seems like a waste of Avatar. What he's doing is he's buying time to put up more towers, buying buying time to put up that town hall because he knows there's no way Moon is going to want to fight him with an Avatar Mountain King up there.
Job's done.
So, I mean, you could still make the argument that maybe the fight would have went better, or would have went for Infi if he had waited to use that until Moon had committed to the fight. But, you know, I feel like if Infi was popping that early, it's because he's not completely confident that he would have been able to defend or not lose buildings here. And the problem is if he actually lost the fight and lost the building constructing towers, then he would be very hard pressed to keep this alive during a second attack wave. But here we'll see a nice flare, just getting that scouting information. Of course, if we look, you can just see how much area is revealed with that mortar team reveal, the flare right there. And this is all from that mortar flare. So as you can see, it's a huge amount of area. Well, there's also that sentry ward right there. So it's, I mean, it would be a circle. So I mean, I was like, that's a bit odd that it kind of branches out like that. So it's actually just a big circle. Of course, it's right on top of that sentry ward. So there's that. And of course over here we will see that the Moon gonna come in here with both that Warden and that Panda, do a little bit of damage. I'm not sure if he actually was able to kill anything or if he just was scouting and then TP both of those over to his army. We'll see those bears going to bear form at this point. And of course we're gonna see that Blood Mage just kind of pushing out a little bit, being kind of courageous. Bit of an interesting decision, because if that Warden went for that Blood Mage, he would be in trouble. He would have to get staffed or Holy Lighted one. Of course, he does have 2 staffs. No real reason to actually waste one, because you're not really going to do a lot with that Blood Mage. I think he was trying to, you know, get a banish on one of these bears and then maybe try to get a bolt or follow up with the bolt. It would have done a lot of damage, would have just wasted a bit of mana for these guys down here, these units, the bears, because they would have had to pop out, rejuve, and then pop back in. So that would have been a nice usage, but up here we will see that one of these knights has been staffed, and we might see a fight going up on for this castle. I doubt that's going to happen, though, because Moon doesn't really gain too much from killing that castle. It would take a very, very long time. As you can see, that castle has 4,000 life. This knight, however, in a bit of trouble. This knight's almost certainly going to go down. Picked the wrong time to try to join up with the rest of the army, because unfortunately, Moon's army was right here, and I think he would have been better served to actually cast a flare there, but before moving out. But as you can see, it looks like I'm just going to move his army out just a little bit, hunting a couple of those scout wisps right there. Indeed, going to take those out, no problem. And just, of course, in case you're wondering what's up with the white on here, that's just the replay bug. That's from where those towers were earlier, and I figured I'd mention that. But Moon now going with 2 Chimera Roosts down here. And with those things, you can do some very interesting things. I mean, Chimeras can get a siege attack upgrade where they actually outrange towers, and they're basically like flying tanks. They're not, well, I say flying tanks in terms of like the idea that they're nearly impossible to kill with static defense. You really need to use units to kill them, and because they outrange the towers, they outrange all of the static defenses, and they do siege damage when you have that corrosive, I think it's corrosive breath upgrade. It's really, really nice for this kind of turtling human play. But of course, Chimeras are very easy to counter. You know, 1 Dragon Hawk Rider, for example, counters 1 Chimera, and Dragon Hawk Riders are, I think, 2 food, maybe 3 food, I'm not quite sure on that one. And of course, Chimeras are like 6 or 7 food. I don't really know. I should know these things, actually. I really should, but off the top of my head, I guess I don't. That's a bit interesting. I'll have to look that up later, because I used to know. But anyway, that's kind of sad. But anyway, we'll see that there are 3 ivory towers on the Mountain King. He's just going to throw all of those down here, saying, I will defend this location. And indeed he will. I'm going to see a Shadow Strike on one of those mortar teams. Going to see it getting staffed back to over here. Of course, that's going to heal him all the way back up to full. Staff of Sanctuary, a great item for this type of gameplay against Warden. Really, I kind of think he should have a Staff of Sanctuary on each one of his heroes, just because of how good it is versus these things. Over here, we will see that Mountain King has been stacked back. Oh, Warden, you weren't expecting that, were you? Nope, but he's going to be good enough to blink and dodge the Storm Bolt regardless. He's still trying to get another kill. He's trying to get a kill on this mortar team is what he wants to do here. Get a Shadow Strike, and then, of course, just go for it. We can see the cooldown on the Staff of Sanctuary, not all that long, however. So even if Moon does get a Shadow Strike pretty much anytime soon on that mortar team, it should pretty much be able to get staffed in. Up here, we're going to see him blinking and now trying to staff away. Should be able to do so. And down here, we'll see that these Chimeras are upgraded, and indeed they do have their siege attack. And again, I think that's corrosive breath upgrade. But they will actually get flared, indeed. So Infi says, oh, you're making Chimeras, are you? Well, what will I do in response? So that's a great question. Well, we see him. He's selected his workshops. Is he going to go for some flying machines? No, he's going for some tanks. So the question is, why would you make tanks versus Chimeras? And there's 2 reasons. One, because if you want to use Chimeras against a human player's base, you are essentially engaging in trench warfare. I mean, that's pretty much the idea here. Because your chimeras are really long, so you just say, okay, well, it's going to take a long time for me to accomplish anything, but I'm going to keep forcing you to run out a little bit, and we'll keep having our little engagements, and we'll see who micros better. And if you don't micro better, I'm going to kill your buildings, and then even if we both still have our armies, I'm going to win. And that's sort of the idea behind it. But of course, going tanks as a response, there's two things you can do. You can cancel your tanks if you want, like we just saw Infi do, actually. So he's actually canceled the tanks, but the tanks aren't a bad response, because if Moon decides to do that, you know, where Moon is sitting outside your base, then, you know, you can just send a couple of tanks down to the expansions, and essentially that says, okay, well, now I no longer have to really do anything over here, because I don't have to leave, because you have to leave. And if you don't take your whole army with you, and you only take some of your army to deal with those tanks, then I'm going to obliterate the rest of your army, and it works out pretty well for the human player. Of course, though, without those tanks, we're not seeing those tanks, though. We'll see. There's any number of things that could happen in this game. Of course, the other thing is Infi didn't make those tanks. He is at 50 out of 100 food, so he could be banking. Of course, that Warden in a little bit of trouble. We're going to go ahead and see him popping Potion of Invulnerability, or Lesser Invulnerability, as well as blinking out. We do see Avatar has been popped by the Mountain King, the Panda, getting Storm Bolted. He's going to take a bit of damage, but he will be snapped out as well. And will this fight actually go underway? Will we see that Mountain King do anything? Just going to go ahead and cast a Storm Bolt on that Druid of the Call. Kind of surprised he's not using it to just run in there and just try to melee it down. Of course, he would get rejuvenated, but a second Stormbolt will do the job as well, I suppose. So he's just going to go ahead and try to do that. Not going to happen. However, he is a little bit concerned maybe with being attacked by those Dryads. Doesn't really want to have to staff out the Paladin. Of course, he does, even in Avatar, even though you do have the Holy Light, or the Magic Immunity, you can still be Holy Lighted, so that's not too big of a deal. Now, down here, we will see that all the gold mines for Moon have been mined out, except for this one. There's only 2.3k gold left in it. And we look at Moon sitting at 78 out of 80 food, just waiting to get the rest of that gold before he breaks up maybe to 100 food. That's probably what's going to happen. Of course, then you can see he only has 3 wisp in that gold mine. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but it looks like he's just taken 2 out of that gold mine and using them over here. I'm not sure what he's quite intending to do with these guys. Move them down, make some moonwells down here. Okay, of course you could have, you know, ran that one. Those might have been from the wood. I'm not quite sure where those came from, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did come from here, though I don't really know why he would do that. But nonetheless, that's the case. Up here we can see for Infi, Infi's mined out his 2 gold mines as well, and this is the one that Infi has, and there's 8.3k gold left in Infi's gold mine. And of course, Infi's actually sitting at 50 out of 100 food. So Infi's still doing, I would say Infi's doing better right now, because Infi's getting more gold. He's getting 3 more gold per return from this gold mine, which could mean, you know, over 10,000 gold. That's 3,000 more gold mined than Moon. So it's, you know, you're getting a 3,000 gold advantage just by kind of waiting here. And of course, Moon wants to engage. That's why he has those chimeras. He wants to do the trench warfare, because he wants to start taking fights, because he knows that if the game goes long enough for Infi to mine this gold mine out, then Infi is going to have the advantage from that. Now over here we will see that those banishes are going to be used, as well as the banished bolt combo right there, killing one of the hippogriffs, potentially getting a second kill. But he looks like that hippogriff will actually be able to get away from that Mountain King before the with the banish wearing off. So indeed, of course, will we see Moon actually use rebuilding? That doesn't look like it. And indeed, up here, the next question is, what is the panda gonna do? The panda says, I'm a panda, I'm gonna run around the map. What did he do? He bought some items, and I think they were from this shop. Well, he was sitting up there at that shop, and he probably picked up the Potion of Invisibility, Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, as well as that Scroll of Healing. I wouldn't be surprised if he got all of those. We will see that Avatar Vengeance has been summoned by the Warden, and he's just, what is he doing? I have no idea what he's doing, but he's doing something. He's standing around, taking a bit of damage from the mortars. Maybe he wants to try to draw Infi out just a little bit so that Warden can come in and try to kill it. Here comes the Warden, here comes the Panda. We're gonna go ahead and see a Stormbolt on the Panda. Will we see this, the mortar team in the back? Will it get staffed out? Yes, indeed, get staffed out. It's 7 HP, 2 HP, down at 2 HP. Will it go down? I think it's immune to these. Actually, it is indeed immune to the Shadow Strikes right there. So it's doing pretty good. The next question is, look at that Panda, down to 54 life. And indeed, now the question is, what's Moon trying to do? He's going to try and come in here and kill that mortar team. He can't attack it with anything except physical damage, but physical damage can indeed kill it. Next question is, will he be able to do that before? There's going to be willing to pop a potion of lesser invulnerability to kill that Warden, or to kill that mortar team. Indeed, interesting choice. And actually, the Warden's in a bit of a bad spot here, because he's going to have to run in his army, because as you can see, he's out of mana and doesn't have a potion of lesser invulnerability now. You're going to go ahead and see another banished bolt combo on those hippogriffs, taking them down one by one. You're going to see a mortar team going down immediately to a lot of focus fire, of course, from those two chimeras, as well as a couple of those dryads. Now, this is an interesting situation. Moon not in the greatest spot right now. This warden could even go down right now if it doesn't get staffed out by the panda. Of course, the panda doesn't have a staff, so that isn't going to be a possibility. And the next question is, yeah, well, he's definitely faster, though. He's got plenty of speed on him. We will see, of course, a nice banished bolt on that panda, just doing some damage. And this is just empty at this point, microing these three heroes around. Will we see that Blood Mage in a bit of trouble? Yes, but he's just going to get Holy Lighted back up. And of course, he is currently slowed by those dryads trying to get away. Doesn't have boots of speed, so he's kind of slow. But the mortar team, the warden right here, has gone ahead and used the Moonwells, TP'd back into this army, and now we're going to see a nice little haze, but not going to be followed up by a fire because, well, he doesn't want to run into the tower range and risk getting banished bolted again, because that would actually kill him. So, you know, force him to get staffed out. One of the two. Gonna see a nice breath of fire on those peasants, just trying to do some damage. There's a clarity on the Mountain King, but that's gonna get canceled pretty much immediately. And indeed, you're gonna see that warden now taking a fair amount of damage. Oh, look at that. Lots of damage, in fact, and he is down to 347 life. Gonna blink down here. Not really too concerning. Over here we can see 800 gold left in Moon's gold mine. 800. And he's sitting at 3.1k gold. And if we look over for, Infi, we'll see that Infi is sitting at 3.3k gold himself, and with 6k gold left in his gold mine. And of course, Infi isn't in high upkeep. Moon is in high upkeep. So really, Infi's doing really, really good. His hero levels are 6 on that Mountain King with some nice items: Scroll of Protection, Scroll of Healing, Staff of Sanctuary, Boots of Speed, and Town Portal. That Paladin is level 3 with a Gauntlets of Strength, as well as a Staff of Sanctuary, and that Blood Mage just sitting at level 3 with nothing really. Okay, we're going to see that the panda, though. He is invisible. He is level 5, and he's just running by this army. I'm not sure what he wants to do. Maybe go for these mortar teams in the back at a nice haze fire, try to kill both of them. That would maybe work. Of course, we will see there are 3 mortar teams up. You can see Infi at 49 out of 50 food. Moon up to 74, or down to really 74 out of 100 food. You're going to see a nice flare was cast right there on this army, just saying, hey, what's up? Of course, you can look at the upgrades. See that Moon is at 3-3 upgrades, and of course, that's the one place Infi is actually behind. Infi is only at 3-0 on his Griffin Riders, and only 3-2 on those Knights, and 3-0 on the mortar teams as well. So as you can see, Infi kind of behind with upgrades, and which is a bit surprising considering that he's not in the, well, there he goes. He's actually working on getting those upgraded. He does probably want to go ahead and well, as it works out, he'll actually manage to be completely upgraded, it looks like, by the time that this gold mine actually runs out. As you can see, he has to get this upgrade and then 3 more armor upgrades, this one and then its next 2 tiers as well. Now we will see that this is going to be, yes indeed, a Breath of Fire, a Fan of Knives, and indeed that's going to kill 3 of those mortar teams. Very, very effective, but it did cost Moon 2 potions of invisibility. That's 300 gold. So while it was a good resource advantage for Moon, it was expensive nonetheless. I would say I'm not quite sure of the exact cost of the 3 mortar teams, but it was definitely worth it for Moon, though. It was definitely worth it. I would say probably getting to about a 300, 400 resource advantage in that sort of situation from doing that. But I think that's quite nice. Very nice, actually. And of course, now we're going to see just a little bit of tomfoolery as 2 flying machines have been created. 2 flying machines, not sure where they went. Here they are. Yeah, that's not going to be able to kill these things, but they can kite them. And as you can see, why not use your micro if you have a little bit of time where you're not really doing too much else? Just, you know, pan around, kite those little hippogriffs a little bit, do some damage with a couple of flying machines, and it works out pretty well. Of course, the flying machines are 3-3 upgrades, so that works out well for them. The hippogriffs are, of course, also 3-3. Now, we do have these 2 chimeras, the 4 hippogriffs, and looks like all this stuff coming up here. Maybe you're going to try to do some damage to Infi's base over here. And now, as you can see, Moon, he is out of gold mines at this point. He just finished mining, and there's really nothing left for him. Of course, we're going to see Infi coming down here trying to do some damage. Of course, you can see Moon is trying to max up at this point. So a really amazingly good timing by Infi, saying, I'm going to go for those Moonwells right now and try to stop you from maxing up. Of course, Moon saying, well, I don't really have any way to force you to fight me, but what I can do is go for your buildings if you're going for mine. And of course, we will see lots of hippogriffs coming out. It looks like maybe 4 hippogriffs just came out right there. It looks like actually Moon is go ahead and TP in here. Now this is in a good spot for Infi. As you can see, Infi is just kind of getting shredded in this fight. Question is, will he lose another knight? Well, probably going to lose 2 knights right there. He was able to staff 1 out. 2 have been staffed out, so he lost 2 knights. And the paladin just trying to not die here. Of course, we're going to see the town portal being used as well. I think maybe Infi should have opened with the town portal. But whatever. So Moon actually did a pretty good job there. Of course, that Moon, I think, kind of realized maybe, you know, oh, I'm losing Moonwells. So that's not really good. I don't want to lose Moonwells. So he went ahead and did that. And of course, maybe also realized that in a base race, human players win versus Night Elf because Masonry upgrade is kind of really, really good. And of course, we can just see that castle barely took 100 damage. You know, so I mean, it's good. And now, of course, now here's a great time for Infi to come over here and attack the castle as well, because as you can see, there are 2 knights here that have been staff of sanctuary over here, and there's really no way they're gonna live through this, unfortunately. Warden is up to level 7 at this point, and indeed, we're looking at that the panda getting fairly close to level 6. It looks like one of those knights actually going to manage to live. That's amazing. Down here, we'll see that Infi is saying, all right, well, you're going for my base. I'm gonna go back for yours, and maybe that panda is working on picking up a town portal. That could be the case. As you can see, the castle is going to take a lot of damage, but a lot more tanky than these buildings, and this is indeed going to go down this Tree of Eternity right there. Down it goes. So now if he wants to TP back, what he has to do is TP over here or over here, one of those 2 locations. We will see that castle now going down indeed. There are still 4 towers up over here. Not a huge deal. They don't do a lot of damage, but something to be concerned about. It might be enough to take out a Dryad, for example, and indeed it does. Go ahead and take out 1 Dryad. Would have maybe been a little bit more sense to just go ahead and kill those with your Chimeras, because they outrange them instead of losing a Dryad. But oh well, oh well. You know, it happens. Now, down here, we'll see that a lot of stuff has gone down. I'm surprised he didn't go for the Hunter Saw as well, but I guess he just needs to get rid of all of the Moonwells. The Moonwells are something that are very, very useful because they do provide that the extra healing. Of course, it does have the upgrade, the 425, the 125 additional mana right there. And of course, also that means they regenerate mana much quicker during nighttime. Over here, have we seen? Yes, indeed. We've seen the Night Elf heroes half-staffed over here trying to deal with this little army from Infi. Of course, he was able to go ahead and take out one of those mortar teams, trying to take out a second one perhaps over here. Indeed, should be able to. Yes, indeed, it goes down. And now Infi kind of running away. Will he go for the Banish Bolt on the Hippogriff? He does go for it. Doesn't look like he's going to get it. And this army up here is kind of by itself. Of course, we can see Moon is down to 69 out of 50 food. And Infi is sitting at 28 out of 84. He does have 4.7k gold. Going ahead, throwing down a barracks here, restarting the tech, starting to keep tech up here at this upper right expansion. And indeed, if he can go ahead and get to tier 3, then he has a lot of resources to spend. Of course, he still has 2.2k gold left in that gold mine, and he's still not in upkeep. So Moon just trying to say, well, I have the bigger army. I'm going to do as much damage as I can right now. But, you know, there is still that whole issue of will Infi be able to win. Now, Infi is going for mass flying machines at this point. That's really the only unit he can really effectively make, and that'll help deal with all these hippogriffs. And, of course, getting rid of hippogriffs, why not? I mean, do as much as you can, get rid of as much as you can. There aren't going to be too great versus the panda, but if he gets rid of all the hippogriffs, he can kill the chimeras. And if he can kill the chimeras, he should be in really good shape. And mass flying machines actually are pretty good versus low numbers of dryads, because dryads have unarmored. They take extra damage from the siege attack. And of course, if you say, well, if you look at if you look at it actually, 3 flying machines is the same food count as 1 dryad, so that's 30 to 42 damage for siege damage attacking slow. Actually pretty nice when it comes to food per food versus dryads. I mean, as you can see, they do have 6 armor, but they do take quite a bit of extra damage from the siege. Now, one problem for Infi is that he kind of might be throwing some of these flying machines away. He can't really afford to throw units away at this point. And we're going to see one of these workshops definitely going down. Of course, if Moon can kill both of the workshops, that's going to be really good for him, because then you won't see any more mass flying machines. And down here, we do see there are quite a few flying machines up on the game. If he can actually manage to use those to take out these hippogriffs, that would be really interesting. Right now, there's like 2 things going on the game, on the map. As you can see, a couple of those hippogriffs definitely winning that fight between the flying machines, however, quite convincingly it looked like. And over here we can just see Infi trying to use his 3 heroes, and that avatar finally wearing off on the Mountain King to go ahead and take these guys down. You're going to see a very nice banished bolt combo on the bear. However, it was staffed out to dodge the bolt. Very nicely done. More flying machines are coming in. And indeed, there's a Griffin Avery right there. That Griffin Avery can only make Dragon Hawks at this point. Dragon Hawks not super good. Maybe getting 2 wouldn't be the worst idea, just to go ahead and, you know, try to force those Chimeras into a still position if they get caught in a bad spot. You know, maybe one of them moves slightly too far in to tower range. Of course, then those Chimeras could be staffed out, but that's a staff cooldown, and so that's always something you have to consider. You know, is this cooldown worth it? I mean, it might be, especially in this sort of situation for Infi, where there's not a lot of units he can make. He is working on getting that tech up. He is at keep tech now. You'll see another workshop being thrown down inside of this protective base. With this many towers, this is pretty well protected. Of course, there is the consideration that there's level 5 Panda on the map, level 3 Breath of Fire, which does pretty good versus towers, as well as the 2 Chimeras, which outrange the towers. But with these 3 heroes here, I mean, that's a lot of damage to throw out, so you're not going to really see that Panda really being able to have free reign on those towers, because every time he goes in, he's probably going to get banished bolted, and that's going to really hurt, and that's going to hurt and add up really, really quickly. Now we can see that Panda kind of running over here. You can see as well as the Warden. Panda just going to go ahead and do some damage. The Warden going to take the majority of the damage right there and lose a lot of mana as well to that Siphon mana. And of course, we're just going to see a couple of staffs on those flying machines trying to keep them alive. That's basically a free repair on your mechanical units right there when you use a Staff of Sanctuary. So Staff of Sanctuaries, super good, and they've actually saved a load of resources for Infi in this game already. And of course, I mean, staffs are always a great unit. Now we will see these 2 Chimeras coming in here trying to do something, but of course Infi's pretty wise to it. He says, I already got my flying machines moving over here. Let's go. Let's go. You want to go, bad boys? Bad Chimeras? Let's go. Yeah. And of course, he's just using them, just trying to kite them up, micro around. He does have to be careful because he doesn't want to take a Breath of Fire. That would really do a lot of damage to his units. So really, he's just trying to do some damage to these Chimeras, and indeed, he's going to be able to do a little bit. We're going to see a nice banished bolt combo on one of those Hippogriffs, as well as these 3 heroes from Infi trying to move into position. Mountain King going to take a bit of damage, not really a huge deal. And during the meantime, we can see these flying machines are going to be microed as he simply doesn't have too much, only 1 action to move those heroes out. And we might see those heroes being moved back in as well. We'll have to wait and see. Now, there's a invisibility that has been cast on the Panda right now. And what's he going to do? Maybe try to... Oh, he's actually going to get revealed right there by that flying machine. Going to get banished, bolted, and he's going to have to staff him out with the Warden. And indeed, this means maybe Infi's going to try to be a little bit more aggressive right now. And if Infi can take out the 3 Dryads, then Infi's going to be in a really good spot. Of course, we're going to see a nice banished bolt combo on that bear, and he's going to have to retreat because he doesn't want to be too risky right there. We're probably going to see that Mountain King running right back in, and another banish just on the bear. And indeed, he's going to go for a different bear that time and kill it instead. And the flying machine's taking a bit of damage, but not too much. And I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing that Chimera getting at least banished and then maybe having a bolt set up for him. But maybe he'd go for the bolt on the Hippogriffs instead. And of course, that's not a bad idea either. Now, where did that Panda grow? Where did the Panda? So has he actually rejoined? He's actually rejoined. Still invisible, so he hasn't actually wasted the invisibility potion just yet. And he can still move back into position if he wants to. Of course, he does still have to be a little bit concerned now. There are flying machines out on the map. They do reveal invisible units. And now we will see that Avatar of Vengeance has been created. Just going to do one of these little guys right there. Of course, we can see Castle Tech currently being researched by Infi. And indeed, now Infi just ran out of gold. Just finished his last gold mine. So here we can see this fight. It's what's going to happen. It's interesting. But let's look at the resource counts, because this is it. This is all the resources they're going to have. Unless maybe you can get a little bit of gold from these creeps right here and those creeps right there, as well as maybe the item that you could pick up from selling that. But I think those are the only creeps left on the map. It's the only last bit of gold resource besides the items you have if you wanted to sell those. So we can see Moon sitting at 1.4k gold and Infi sitting at 5.3k gold. So Infi's in a pretty good spot. And lots of flying machines up here. What's he going to do with the flying machines? Good question. Now, I mean, I would say at this point, Infi's really, really well off. I mean, I think Infi's probably going to win this game, just from how well off he is. But you know, he's not really having the ability. He can't like come in here and win the fight. So what he has to do is play it really carefully, because if he makes any mistakes, he could lose the game very easily. Just lose any key, lose your castle up here, lose one base, and you're in trouble essentially. And of course, you're just going to see these flying machines now running across the map. This is a little risky, but what's he going to do? That's, there's not a lot he can do. He's just trying to find that Chimera. He's trying to kill it because he did see that it was staffed, and he doesn't want to lose any of these guys. Now, he might be able to go ahead and take out that Chimera. It looks like he's going to get very close if he doesn't take it out. Oh, going to get staffed at 86 HP. Very important to keep those alive. None of the flying machines died, though, so not bad for Infi. And now he's just running around the map, still trying to find stuff. He can do some damage with these guys. They do, of course, attack buildings. And Moon has to try to stop that, because if those little guys have free reign, then they simply will actually go ahead and kill everything. And of course, also, Moon is on a kind of a situation where he can't really sit there and afford to rebuild buildings like that. Now, he is trying to go ahead and kite these guys, or cattle herd them, if you will, up here. And indeed, he's going to be able to do so, getting level 6 on the Panda, indeed, as he breaths of fire those flying machines. So really, really good, smart play from Moon right there. Now, will we see Infi going ahead and doing something equally intelligent here? Maybe. I'm going to go for another Banish Bolt on that Chimera. And that Chimera is probably going to get staffed out, but, or not, probably not. Yeah, maybe it will. It does indeed get staffed out. And it's going to heal all the way up to full HP with those Moonwells right there. Pretty good. Now we can see that, I'm assuming at this point, if we can find any of these units, fully upgraded Knights, fully upgraded flying machines, that's the units that we're seeing. So that's good. Now we might see some Griffins as well at this point. There is still that Griffin Avery up, so we'll wait and see what is Infi doing. But Infi right now just making an absolute ton of flying machines. This may be a bit of a mistake, it might not be. There is a level 6 Panda on the map. He's going to run here, try to go ahead and get another flying breath of fire on these flying machines. Going to be able to take one of those guys out, do a bit of damage to the rest of them, so it's going to be very difficult. Now, the Panda's in a bad spot. He might actually get forced to go ahead and cast his town portal right here. We'll have to wait and see, but or his ultimate. I guess probably his ultimate. If he does, but he actually doesn't have enough mana to cast his ultimate. Gonna get staffed out. The Warden actually staffing back in to staff him out, in fact, but he will lose a Hippogriff for that, so that's kind of a trade of a Hippogriff for a flying machine. Not too good for Moon. Now here come a bunch of flying machines running in here while that Panda's not in the fight, and we're gonna see that Panda staffing back in, and of course now we're gonna see that Warden taking a lot of damage as well, and these, of course, Hippogriff's gonna be able to kill those flying machines pretty well, and just a lot of damage being done to the flying machines ultimately. So Moon just with some amazing micro right there, really good control, and of course Infi maybe should have waited a little bit longer to take that fight. Because it didn't work out too well for him, but he did see the opportunity to fight without the Panda, and so that's why he took it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out nearly as well for him as he kind of was probably hoping. But you know, it's a matter of Infi still kind of far ahead at this point, and well, and honestly, the longer the game goes, really what Infi needs at this point is Infi needs to dump all of his resources into units, take a fight, and he needs to win that fight to win the game. And actually, honestly, if he doesn't win that fight, then Moon could very easily win the game, and this is a very difficult army to kill that Moon has here. With those high-level heroes, level 7 Warden and level 6 Panda Brewmaster. So, I mean, versus level 6 Mountain King, which is very close to level 7. But the level 7 doesn't really do a lot for the Mountain King. It gives him, he's not going to be able to really use Thunderclap too much. You could go ahead and maybe use that to try to take out a bit of Focus Fire or something, but there's not going to be a lot done there. And of course, now we can see Infi just going ahead and utilizing these flying machines, going for the Tree of Life, saying, can I kill your Tree of Life? Will you let me kill your Tree of Life? Can I kill your Tree of Life? No? Oh, your Panda's come. Okay, I won't kill your Tree of Life. Maybe go for those Hippogriffs there. You can see that Tree of Life uproot. Maybe go for a couple of trees, heal up a little bit. Try to stay alive. And are these flying machines getting into a bad spot right here? Well, they're going to take a little bit of damage. It doesn't look like any of them are dead yet. And of course, now here come Infi's heroes going in for a bolt on one of those Hippogriffs. Didn't get the Banish Bolt off, however, so it's going to live. Did take some significant damage, however. Of course, there are these little batteries here, these little bears that can heal units up. There's also the Moonwells, etc. Now, here comes some of Moon's buildings. He says, why not uproot some of my buildings, move them over here to where we might have a fight, and then utilize them in that fight, because they're my buildings, why not? And that could potentially work out pretty well for Moon. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, he has a lot more buildings he could do that with, but he isn't doing it. I'm not sure why. But we'll have to wait and see what his real plans are. Now we will see that Blood Mage taking a bit of damage. Going to get Holy Lighted. Going to get staffed out as well. It's going to staff him over here. And it's really good, actually, for Infi that this is the castle at this point, because this is a far more protected base than this one over here. Of course, this is no longer a base, actually. This is... Mother Nature eventually reclaims everything. So that's a great example of that. Up here, we'll see that... the Warden just doing a little bit of damage. I think we saw a Hippogriff die right there, but nothing too much. Of course, every unit counts at this point. That really goes without saying. But we can see a lot of these Hippogriffs have been created by Moon. Once again, he is up to 70 food out of 80. And of course, he's down to 67 gold. So he is completely out of gold at this point. And he just popped a potion of invulnerability, or somebody did. I'm not sure who. Oh, no, never mind. There was a divine shield. I was like, why? Okay. Never mind. That was from the paladin. That doesn't cost gold. But yeah, so we can see Moon. This is Moon's army. 69 out of 80 food. Looks like he lost a wisp somewhere. And this is it, though. If he loses this, that's it. Those two heroes can be kind of hard to kill, but, you know, as long as he uses those staffs really well, he'll be in good shape. Of course, he is going to be going against Infi, who's sitting at 50 food inexplicably. I don't know why. He has 2.7k gold. He could go very easily, get more food. Why not? It doesn't really matter, of course. And if the more flying machines you have, the easier you could actually win the air fight versus Moon if you dumped all of your resources into those flying machines. Of course, there is a bit of a risk with that, and instead of doing that, really he's not looking to necessarily win that fight. It looks like right now he's just looking to try to kill as many units as possible, taking out one of those wisps right now, and that panda is just going to come up here and maybe try to do some damage, but he's going to unfortunately get kited away from those guys. Now you do see that warden coming up here. He's also going to try to do some damage, do as much damage to these guys as he can. But really, I mean, I'm really kind of surprised that Infi isn't going to dump, maybe another 30s. I don't know if you can afford 30 food flying machines, but get more. He doesn't need more wood though, as he's only got 725 wood, and there's some flying machines sitting there, so he might have to actually remake a peasant. And he's got 4 right here, so he could be mining from these trees right here. A little bit odd, but hey, so this is the game. I mean, this is the game right now that we're seeing this situation. This is the game situation. It's one of those sort of awkward moments in time where it's like, well, what do we do? It's very intense right now because every unit lost is lost forever. You're out of gold. Every bit of gold on the map's been mined out, minus these tiny little creeps that don't give very much gold. We might see those die, and you might not. But down here we're gonna see Moon. Now if Moon loses all of this, that's a bit of bad. Oh, gonna see that panda getting staffed in here, going for 1 breath of fire. Definitely gonna take out a lot of damage. That panda sitting right on top of this army, saying, I'm gonna get another breath of fire, and you're in trouble. And that's not going to happen. But the panda was definitely saying that. He was trying to be very aggressive and very, bluffing. But it scared the flying machines a little bit. Maybe they had some nightmares. And then we'll see that panda trying to come in for a staff there. Not going to happen. Just cancel it, saying, "Oh, I've herded your flying machines into a really bad spot." And indeed, he has. As we're seeing these flying machines, he's going to go ahead and lose one of those flying machines. Can he take out all of those hippogriffs over the trees? Probably not. And as you can see, he would have lost that fight. He's running away. He's losing quite a bit though. As he runs away. Gonna see a nice healing scroll on those hippogriffs. Actually, would have lost a lot of hippogriffs right there, but it's not gonna happen this time. And indeed, here comes the Panda Ultimate, and we're going to see that's going to force the town portal on the Mountain King, as that Paladin is pretty much Divining Shielding. It was Cycloned, it wasn't Divine Shielding. Cycloned, which makes it also invertible. But yeah, so there you have that. And over here we're going to see that the flying machines for some reason are attacking the Ancient Protector. It's going to have a staff in from the Warden, but that Ancient Protector will go down indeed, and these flying machines are just trying to stay alive at this point. And indeed, we're going to see this dried up here just doing a bit of damage. Why not? And over here, we're going to see these flying machines going for some of these moonwells. Now, fighting the hippogriffs over here over the top of moonwells, probably not the smartest of ideas, really, if you think about it. But as you can see, a lot of those flying machines going down. These hippogriffs have been absolutely phenomenal this game, but unfortunately, it looks like it's their final fight, or at least the final fight for a lot of them. But maybe not. Maybe not, indeed. Well, yeah, a couple of them will go down. But the flying machines, unfortunately, they're kind of silly. I don't really know. They're kind of, I mean, I really thought a lot of those hippogriffs were going to die. They were very low. Of course, that's the whole, goes back to don't fight hippogriffs over moonwells with flying machines. They're just going to heal up, and that's what we saw happen. And indeed, that's Breath of Fire from the Panda right here. That didn't help the flying machines either. They kind of got kited into a panda. You don't really want to get kited into a panda if you're a flying machine because, fire is hot. But anyway, and we just see that Warden, he is level 7, and of course that Panda level 6, and we're just seeing Infi's not doing too hot right now, and we see a couple of Dragonhawk Riders. They are being made. Maybe the best idea he's had maybe would be a tech switch to just mass Dragonhawk Riders. Maybe that would work, maybe it wouldn't work, I don't know. But we were gonna see those. You see, I tried to tell him earlier he needed to get these guys on wood. As soon as he goes for it, however, they're gonna die because he waited too long, and he's like, oh, I'm in a bit of trouble here. But this is not going to work out too well for Infi, as it looks like, as it turns out. And of course, we're just seeing this one of these peasants trying to stay alive. Will he go down? He looks like he's actually going to be able to get out of there. These Dragonhawk Riders, however, there might see one getting made, two getting made, maybe a third. Oh, there's a fourth one right there. So he's been doing that for a little while. But this Griffin Aviary is going to go down. And indeed, that's not good for Infi. Of course, we're going to see, will that Dragonhawk Rider stay alive? Trying to keep him alive. Indeed, should be able to keep him alive. And over here, we're just going to see these heroes goes for Infi, just trying to kill some buildings, saying, "I want to kill your buildings," and that's what we're seeing happen. And indeed, that's what's gonna happen. And so yeah, that's the situation that we're currently having right now in this game. There are some hippogriffs right here chilling out. The question is, will they go for those Dragonhawk Riders? Did they actually get that one? I don't think they did. There are 3 Dragonhawk Riders right here compared to 7 hippogriffs. 7 hippogriffs? Stop moving them! Ah, I can't tell. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how many there are right there. I think there's 7. There's also a warden right here. And of course we do see there's going to be a flying machine going to take a couple of hits. Don't die, flying machine. There you go. Good nice. He's going to get staffed and healed all the way up. And that warden going to get storm bolted, having some of his mana being drained right now, as you can see, down to 243 mana. And indeed, he's running through those tower ranges, not really too concerned about it, knowing he can blink away from the next storm bolt that comes his way. And indeed, we're going to see this. It's pretty much getting reclaimed by nature at this point. As we know how in biology classes they're always like, yeah, in 100 years and 2,000 years and a billion years, you know, the Earth is not going to have any humans on it. Well, it's, besides being very kind of sad, this is how it's going to happen. A Night Elf player is going to come in with some bears and chimeras and just take out the city of New York, Atlanta, Phoenix. All of that's going to be killed by, you know, fairies and stuff. So don't think they're nice. They're very evil. And in fact, in folklore, fairies are very mean-spirited. Even though we have things like Tinkerbell, who that's just the kids version. That's not how it really is. But anyway, we can see this fight. Is it gonna be a fight? It's gonna be a little bit of a fight. We're just seeing those Dragonhawk Riders flying away for their life. This Mountain King trying to find this banished Hippogriff will be able to do so, take that out, and one of those Dragonhawk Riders, however, will be Shadow Striked, and that will slow it down enough to die to the Hippogriff Riders. So indeed, we're just seeing Moon saying, "I'm willing to trade a Hippogriff for a Dragonhawk Rider," because those Dragonhawk Riders are actually pretty scary. Because you know, if you catch my chimeras in a bad spot, they're gonna die, or if your heroes are around. But that would kind of constitute a bad spot, wouldn't it? Of course, there's an Avatar of Vengeance. He's up. He's not a lot he's gonna do. Of course, we can't see the Panda has used his ultimate, and indeed, we're gonna see another Hippogriff going down to yet another Banish Bolt combo. Here is that Panda running in, trying to do some damage. Now, all he has to do is keep one of these guys alive, because and essentially what you'll see is the Panda always prefers to spawn on the Earth Elemental, and you'll see that happen. So as long as the Earth Elemental is alive, that's where the Panda will spawn to, but it doesn't matter if it dies as long as one of those guys is alive. And there it is indeed. Panda just saying, I'm gonna run away now. Did get the Cyclone off on the Mountain King. A bit of an interesting choice to Shadow Strike and Cyclone the Mountain King, because the Mountain King, I don't believe he takes damage while he's Cycloned. So a little bit of an interesting choice, but nonetheless, we're seeing that Panda now taking a bit of damage, and that Panda does still have a Scroll of Time Portal. Don't forget, very important item to have. Of course, Infi hasn't picked up another one. You're gonna see a bear going down to a Banish Bolt very effectively. I kind of surprised it does that much damage, but indeed it does. 66% increased damage to 325 is 66 to 25. It's I don't know. That's a lot of damage. Is how much it is. It's a lot of damage. And of course, bears, I think also naturally, since they have heavy armor, I think they take extra damage from nukes, if I'm not mistaken here, and I might be. I know they take extra damage from magic attacks, but I don't know if that counts as spell attacks as well. I don't think it normally does, but I know sometimes there are some weird things in the engine, so who knows. But anyway, of course, now if we look at the situation on the map, our situation report, our sit rep, we can see the Griffin Aviary has been rebuilt. We're seeing Dragonhawk Riders being created right now. We can see there's a Lone Hunter's Hall over here. It's not doing too much, but it's chilling out. 2 Chimera Roosts down here. Seeing that Moon just sold an item. I don't know what item it was. Might have been a Gauntlets of Strength or something. I'm not really sure what it was. And of course, we're seeing some of these creeps finally going down. You know, there's in a game that's over an hour long. We're currently at 1 hour and 7 minutes. You know, the creeps can't expect to live. So they really can't, and they have gone ahead and died. Now we see a flying machine, a single flying machine running around the map trying to do some damage to a Moonwell. He could potentially get into a bad spot and die. There are some hippogriffs back here that can chase him and kill him. And we'll see if that happens. They are going for him. Of course, we're going to see nice control from Infi. Infi saying, I will guard this flying machine with my life. He does see that he's being cut off by Dryad. Says, oh boy, this is a bad situation for a flying machine. And you're going to see some damage done to the flying machine. Probably see him get staffed out though. And maybe not even get staffed out. Maybe get staffed out, you know, just to heal him up. But we'll see. And indeed, we're going to see another bolt on the Warden, as well as a Siphon Mana, just trying to do getting a lot of the mana from that Blood Mage, or onto the Blood Mage. As you can see, that Blood Mage at 190 mana. And we can see these little annoying guys, these little spirits of vengeance, just, you know, being annoying. And that's what they are. They are very, very annoying. Now this Hippogriff down here saying, I'm a Hippogriff, what am I going to do? Nothing really. Now we're going to see that flying machine. It finally has been staffed just to heal it up. You know, you might as well. And this is a very interesting situation because at this point, there's really nothing either player can do. I mean, how can Moon attack this many towers? How can he do that? I don't know. He can't really. So he really just has to wait for Infi to spend all of his money. And that's what Infi's doing. I don't know where he's... with all these Dragonhawk Riders. There are 2 upgrades. And if he has enough, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then, you know, he's going to say, okay, well, I'm going to come in here and try to take out your air units, and we'll see how it works out. Now, where are those Hippogriff Riders? Down here, there are 5 Hippogriff Riders. If these Hippogriff Riders are in a situation like this, where they're off by themselves, and they all get shackled, they die. Alternatively, we could see some Banished Bolts eventually wearing down all of the air units for Moon. So, the longer this game goes, I would probably say it's looking pretty good for Moon, but of course, or looking pretty good for Infi. But of course, Moon's still not out of the game, because Moon has the ability to use his Panda Ultimate, for example. And every time that you try to move out Infi, if I have my Panda Ultimate up, you're going to be really in a big risk. Now, if Infi saw that Panda has ulted, he's going to be smart and try to stay away. Now, he's a little bit interesting to have that Knight so far out. I would maybe move it back here myself, but that's okay. Indeed, here comes that Panda Ultimate right here. Now, we will see Moon or Infi going ahead and trying to fight this maybe. He's going to get cycloned up on the Mountain King. Run away is the best move he has right now. Just run away. Try to keep everything alive. Try to stay in tower range. We could see these Chimeras are going to go down most likely unless they get staffed out. Indeed, looks like one of them has gone down. Second one is going to go down as well, indeed. So, unfortunate mistake right there for Moon, definitely, I think. Of course, we see those Dragonhawk Riders. I'm not sure, just 2 of them, it looks like. Yeah, one going to get staffed out, and it's going to stay alive just fine. Now, Moon is running down here with his army, of course. Infi's feeling pretty confident right now. Infi just made a great play, keeping that Knight alive as well. That's nice. And, of course, that great play was that he killed both of those Chimeras. Bit of a mistake for Moon. Now, of course, if you're playing, a lot of people might say, oh, that's a dumb mistake, bad play, bad play. Just to keep in mind, just keep a little bit of perspective, Moon is playing versus Infi, and this game has gone on for 1 hour and 10 minutes, and this isn't the only game they played today when they play on this day play dates. So, you know, making mistakes like that, it's only human, and in fact, not making very many mistakes. I'm pretty sure that he's only done that sort of mistake once in this whole game. Is kind of good. That's kind of what is professional level play. I mean, you're not going to expect perfect play, because that's... You know, nobody plays perfectly. I mean, it's almost impossible to find a perfect game. I would doubt that we've ever seen a perfect game played. It's just nearly impossible. But, you know, this is still pretty good. And yeah, it was a pretty big oversight to lose 2 Chimeras like that. But again, the fact that there's only been like one mistake like that, this whole game is amazing. Now, of course, Moon... You know, we're seeing units getting picked off here and there. Those are not the same kind of mistakes. Those are just, you know, scouting mistakes, or maybe you have to take a little bit of a risk on the map to do some damage. You always have to take a little bit of risk, and it doesn't always pay off. And you know, professional players, every decision they make when it comes to things like that are based on that whole idea of risk analysis. So, you know, when you lose a unit, like when you use a flying machine like that we just saw, you know, you had to come over here. You had to find out what was going on, and you had to try to take the advantage right there. You can say how are you taking advantage with the flying machine? Well, you're distracting Moon. You're causing Moon's attention to shift around a little bit, and maybe Moon's about to attack you or something. Or you know, that wasn't the case, but you know, like there's any number of things that could be happening at that point in time that you know, you just having one stray unit kind of throws your opponent off or something, or you do some damage over here. As we can see, that one flying machine pretty much did this much damage to this Moonwell just by coming down here and harassing it every now and then. And I mean, over time that pays off in a really long game like this. So it was definitely making the right moves, and I mean, that was a lot of times before that flying machine actually did die. And down here we can see these Dragonhawk Riders, they've actually split up at this point. We can see that Infi's army is, you know, a Griffin Rider, a Knight, those 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Dragonhawk Riders, it looks like, versus Moon's army, which is his 2 heroes and 3 Dryads, 2 Hippogriffs, and 3 Bears. Now, Moon's not in the greatest spot here. Infi's actually doing really well, and if Infi's army is grouped up, then he could potentially do a lot of damage. But of course, neither player really wants to take a full-on fight right now. A full-on fight is not good. Now we might see the Blood Mage in a bit of trouble. He just got he's not getting staffed out, which is a bit of an odd choice. We're gonna see the Panda. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. If that Blood Mage dies, that's gonna really be really bad for Infi. And of course, Infi is gonna do his best to keep that alive. But indeed, here comes that Blood Mage. Now the Blood Mage is gonna do a lot of damage. The Blood Mage actually gonna die, and that's the same Blood Mage I was thinking, Warden. But indeed, we just watched the Blood Mage die. That's really not good. Because here's the next question: is can Infi get that back? I don't know. He only has 66 gold. He's going to have to maybe sell his Boots of Speed, maybe sell the Scroll of Protection, maybe sell the Gauntlets of Strength. And will that be enough? Hopefully it will be. But, I mean, hopefully, because he doesn't want to sell those staffs. I mean, he sell everything but the staffs. Indeed, he's going to try that. Will it be enough? Not yet. Ah, there we go. So he has his 2 staffs, and now he comes with that Blood Mage back. So very, very close. I mean, he's down to 21 gold. This is it. If he loses it again, it's over. So that was that Panda ult using the Cyclone, splitting the army up. That was what it was right there. That was why that was so effective, and that's why that Panda is so dangerous in this game, and that's why Moon's not out of the game. Because even though Moon's kind of behind with everything else, as you can see, Moon down to 36 food versus 49 for Infi. The fact that he does have the ability to use that Panda ult in such a very powerful way in combination with the Warden makes it very scary for Infi. Very, very scary for Infi. Now Infi is sitting up here saying, alright, I gotta wait for my my Blood Mage to come back out. There's really nothing I can do until then. Maybe just run my Dragonhawk Riders around just a little teensy bit on the map, but other than that, I really don't want to do anything because I gotta wait for that Blood Mage to come back out. And indeed, that's what we're seeing happen. The Panda is down here at the Goblin Merchant saying, is there anything I can buy? Well, maybe, because he does have 265 gold. He might have sold his town portal. I'm not sure how he got that much gold. But he could, you know, maybe pick up a potion of invisibility and use it, yeah. And he actually has 165 gold left over, which is enough gold for a potion of lesser invulnerability, but he did just pick up another potion of invisibility on the Warden. So it looks like he has more sinister plans in mind. Now, down here we can see that these Dragonhawk Riders have map hack-like sense. That Panda, don't ask me how on earth that just happened. Totally coincidence, most likely from Infi, but that's what just happened there. So really nicely done by Infi. It looks like he's just trying to, you know, saying, oh, there's going to be units coming for sure. Now, this is a bad situation for Infi. Just got Haze Fire. Haze slows your units down. Haze Fire makes the slow last a really, really long time. And we're just trying to see him try to stay alive, try to kill these Symphographs Riders if he can, and trying to not lose any units. Of course, he has moved his army up there. So he's made it into a not so bad situation, but it's still kind of bad. Of course, I don't think he's lost any of his Dragonhawk Riders just yet. Might lose that one. That one's going to go down. Here comes this nice little bit of AoE. You're going to see a couple more of those going down. Shadow Strike, another thing. So we saw, you know, maybe 4 of them. Mount King is actually surrounded at this point. There is a staff currently, and that Blood Mage is back out. We're going to see the Panda taking a lot of damage right now. Will the Panda stay alive? He does have a potion or a Scroll of Healing. I'm going to go ahead and use that as well as a staff and rejuvenation. Now this Avatar Mount King going to get staffed out as well. You're going to see a nice Shadow Strike onto the Warden, and the Panda is staffing back in after utilizing those Moonwells. Perhaps not, maybe the Moonwells, maybe one Moonwell. And the Knight in a bit of bad spot. We might see him staffed. He is staffed. All right. Good play by both players, but very nail-biting because at that point, anything could have happened. Anyone could die. Anyone could lose a hero. And if anyone loses a hero right now, they pretty much can just go ahead and say good game. I wouldn't give up if that happened, but if you lose a hero in this sort of situation, if you lose, say, your Mountain King, oh boy, that's not good. That's your mill ticket right there. That is your Stormbolt. That is your that's your stun. That's your tank. That is a super important thing, as well as a staff. You don't want to lose a staff. Now we do see there are going to be 3 staffs for Infi, so that's good. It's going to allow him to heal up his units for free, basically. It just, you know, takes some time, and at this point, time is really your only resource you have to really worry about. And of course, you can see a lot of these buildings have been uprooted. I wouldn't be surprised to see everything that can be uprooted right now by Moon, and maybe, you know, put into kind of a central location. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not really sure what he wants to do with those, but we'll wait and see. We're gonna find out. And of course, we can see that pretty much everything has been healed up for Infi. He's satisfied. It's starting to move back out. I'm kind of surprised he's not waiting for every unit, but, you know. And, of course, the other thing is that when Moon runs out, the big issue is that this Panda's ult's going to be back up really soon, if it's not already back up at this point. And that's scary, because, you know, we've already seen what can happen with that Panda ult, and we're going to see an Avatar Vengeance being summoned. He's just going to scout with that, basically. There's not really a lot he's trying to do. He just wants to scout a bit. you know, maybe try to draw Moon out a little bit, but his goal there is mainly just to get some scouting information. And Moon versus Infi, I mean, this both players sitting there saying, I mean, honestly, if Infi sits back here, he sits into his base, and he doesn't exit his base, Moon really can't win. There's no way. Well, I say that that's not entirely true. Moon does have the Breath of Fire, and of course, he can just use those to do some damage to these towers, but, you know, there's also really the whole, you know, get nuked and then, you know, staff out the panda, etc. But this situation isn't looking good for either player to really win. I mean, it's not looking good. This game could go on for many more hours at this point, unless a player makes a mistake that, you know, costs them a hero, which is a possibility, but if both players play it really safe from this point on, that probably won't happen. So what happens in a game like this? I mean, how does this game has been absolutely amazing. We started with a tower rush, you know, and then I think it was, I don't even remember what happened in this game. It's been such a long game, but it's just, we've seen so many different things happen in this game. This is an amazing game. But the question is, at this point, where do you go? Like, how does this game end? And that's the question, because we can see there's not very large armies here. I mean, Moon at 32 out of 70 food, and Infi at 37 out of 54 food. With this many towers sitting back here, I mean, if there wasn't a panda in the game, this would easily be a win for Infi. I mean, there would be really nothing that Moon could do. But there is a panda in the game. There's also a warden. So yeah, it's hard to make a call like what's gonna happen, but this is it. I mean, like the game kind of dies down, and now we just say, well, what if both players decide not to fight? What would happen? What happens in that sort of situation? I don't know. It doesn't come up very often, does it? Where both players say, I'd rather, you know, and you can't blame him. You can't blame Infi for wanting to fight near his towers. And you can't blame Moon for not, you know, not wanting to do that. But it is daytime, and so maybe that was what Infi was waiting for. It was nighttime. He said, I don't want to fight a night elf player during nighttime. They do have a bit of an advantage. And so it looks like that's the case. And you can see those Dragonhawk, right? I mean, he moved out just a little bit, but now Moon's running back, and Moon's saying, I don't really want to fight you during the day. And why would he want to fight him during the day? He doesn't have, if he uses his moon wells at this point, they're out until the nighttime. And there's only 4 of them, I think, 5 of them, one down here. So it's not really a great spot for either player. And we can just see Moon just putting up some buildings, saying, well, I don't want to, you know, don't want that. And Moon, you know, and Infi saying, I don't want to go near your buildings. That's all the way down there. Your panda could ult. You know, I know the panda's cooldown is ready, so I don't really want to go down there. You know, so what happens in this situation? Well, there's only one thing that can happen. The players decide, do they want to regame? This is BlizzCon. In case you did, this is a BlizzCon game. And Infi asked for a regame. And Moon says, if they can, if they'll let us. And at this point, the admins are like, what? The admins have no clue what's going on right now. They're like, this is insane. And indeed, that's how the game ends. neither player knows what to do, so they go into a new game and say, just forget that game. That game didn't happen. But it did happen, and we just watched it. And it's an insane game, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I know some people consider that an anticlimactic ending. Fair enough. But I think it's kind of the kind of ending you should be seeing, hopefully, in a crowned replay type series. That was an amazing game with so many good moves and so much action and so many nail-biting moments. And I really hope that, you know, I was able, as a caster, to actually help you guys experience just how intense some of those moments were if you're someone who isn't as experienced with Warcraft 3, because a lot of those moments very intense, and the game was riding on everything at certain points in that game, and quite a few points, and both players managed to pull it out to the point where they just they didn't want to fight each other anymore because it was simply too down to the wire. And so that's the game. A very long game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you next time.